because he appeared right after Janmashtami, and his disappearance also in the most auspicious Kartik month. We know how dear Srila Prabhupada is. From the Bhagavatam perspective, we know that Ete Chamsa Kala Pumsham, Krishna Bhagavan Swayam. Krishna, the original person of Godhead, appears only once in a day of Brahma. And in the immediate Kali Yuga, the original Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishna himself in the mood of Srimati Radharani appears. And along with him, all the confidential Sakhis like Sri Rupa Manjari, all these personalities actually appear as Rupa Goswami, and then all the different acharyas. So in the same understanding, our dear Srila Prabhupada appears only once in a day of Brahma. The same logic actually appears because these are all confidential associates of Srimati Radharani. They don't come every Kali Yuga. So we can understand Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, Srila Prabhupada, all these personalities, they are not posts, they are persons. And then being very, very extremely dear to Krishna and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they, out of their own causeless mercy, they actually appear to deliver all of us. So such fortune that we have, he just appeared about 100 years back, and we are actually trying to remember his activities which he has done here in this material world. Anyways, as being an acharya, special acharya, he does many things that we cannot imitate. Definitely sadhana bhaktas cannot imitate. For example, even advanced devotees who are sadhaka bhaktas, who will practice for 30 years, 40 years, cannot imitate Srila Prabhupada's activities, because there are many things that Srila Prabhupada used to do, like every day in the afternoon in Mayapur, he used to actually take rest. And when he wakes up in the afternoon, for about half an hour or 45 minutes, he'll take what they call as the power nap. And after he wakes up, one of the devotees would actually give him a tender coconut to drink. He would actually drink, and he'll have his garland all the time. When he's awake, he'll always have a garland on himself. And he would actually go to the restroom. And before he goes to the restroom, he would actually take out his garland and put it on the deity of Kartama Sai Vishnu. So he had a deity of Krishna without Srimati Radharani or Rukmini alone. So he used to put the garland on Krishna, go to the restroom and wash his face or whatever. He comes out and takes the garland, puts it on himself, and goes out wherever he wants to go. This is something we definitely cannot imitate unless until, because obviously we take prasadam of the Lord and we don't actually offer our garland to the Lord. They had a special relationship and which we cannot imitate. No one can imitate such kind of activities. And we know in the Lilamrit, you will find that Srila Prabhupada in the earlier days used to actually take yogurt from the fridge directly, and then one time he actually tasted it and said this can be offered. This is something that sadhaka bhaktas cannot imitate. So he's a special acharya, definitely. But there are certain things that he actually asks us to do. And when we do such kind of activities, we'll make progress. There is anukarana and anusarana. So if you imitate a great acharya, you will fall down. But if you follow his footsteps, then you make a lot of progress spiritually. But what do we understand from Srila Prabhupada? It's not about just the books. It's not about the way he used to actually preach, or his mode of preaching, or his way of singing Hare Krishna Kirtan, or his style of eating food. He used to do many things in different ways. Even eating, he never used to speak with anybody. He was honoring prasadam, and he had this mindset that Krishna is enjoying him in the form of prasadam, not that we enjoy prasadam. The prasadam, who is Krishna himself in the food form, enjoys the devotee. So he was very focused, very silent, and then used to eat. He appreciated prasadam and take it. So we can understand here, a disciple would want to know what is that one thing that we should actually get from a spiritual master. His Holiness Jabadak Maharaj mentions this, that he asked Srila Prabhupada in Mayapur the same question, very same question, like, as a disciple, Srila Prabhupada, what should one get from a spiritual master? Is it the philosophy? Is it the way of living? Is it the culture of Krishna consciousness? Or the dedication that a spiritual master has towards his spiritual master? What is it? And Srila Prabhupada actually responded back, all of this to some extent, but more than all these things is the vibes, meaning what is the spiritual master's mission in life? That mission is something that we need to actually observe from the spiritual master. And this is how we get this to know about the Vapu Seva and the Vani Seva. Right? Vapu Seva means personally serving the spiritual master. And those who actually can serve the spiritual master personally, they only can get the vibes. And then by reading books or hearing from others, you will not get that kind of vani, now what you call that kind of vibes from the spiritual master so easily. Those who actually have served spiritual master, especially Srila Prabhupada in person, they definitely actually have an upper hand because they've understood, or at least they have been exposed to what Srila Prabhupada is all about. And in essence, Srila Prabhupada actually had two desires. If you read all the books of Srila Prabhupada, about Srila Prabhupada, you'll come to this conclusion that Srila Prabhupada definitely wanted two things. He wanted everyone in the world to chant Hare Krishna. He wanted everyone to be delivered back to Godhead. That was his larger vision, whether they are qualified, not qualified, interested, not interested, but he wanted to deliver everyone to Nityananda Prabhu and Chaitanya Prabhu. This was a clear understanding. And second thing that he had was all the leaders should be pure devotees, and it should be exemplary, and they should not actually be making mistakes. While we see these two things, both of them are quite contradictory in the sense, one of them is someone who is interested to become devotee. You train them as pure devotees. They become gentlemen, ladies, and then they really actually are taking the mission forward. There are many devotees focusing on this today, but there are not many who really want to actually make the whole world Krishna conscious and deliver everyone, whether they are interested or not interested. Few devotees are, those who have got the vibes of Srila Prabhupada, they actually are working hard towards that. These two things are very, very clear to me after reading Srila Prabhupada's books, saying that he wanted this to be achieved. And in whatever way we can help, helping Srila Prabhupada's mission, we should actually try to do. If you can get new people to chant Hare Krishna, yes, he becomes very pleased. If existing people are trained so that they can take the mission forward, very good. So because both of them are very, very important, but the first one is quite difficult, but he wants that to be done. And Srila Prabhupada being the commander in chief of the Sankirtan army of Lord Chaitanya, he is special. We'll find that in one of the pastimes that happened, Bhavananda Prabhu actually mentioned, Srila Prabhupada was in South Africa. And in those days, whenever you go out of India to certain countries, you need to get some kind of fever shot called yellow fever shot. It's basically to say that you are not carrying any kind of virus or anything, and then you're going to spread in their country. And Srila Prabhupada did not actually have that yellow fever shot, and because of which he was quarantined. Imagine the old Acharya, Srila Prabhupada, Krishna's personal servant. In spite of all these things, he had to go through this hardship. So when he actually entered South Africa, this Johannesburg, he was asked to stay in a room without any windows for 10 days, till the point that he doesn't develop any kind of symptoms and things like that. And Bhavananda Prabhu says Prabhupada did not like this because no one at that age, advanced age, would want to stay in a room where there is absolutely no light or anything. It's all artificial. For 10 days, you can't even come out. You can get food, but you cannot come out and interact with anybody. So it is a very, very painful system or painful kind of a situation for such an advanced person. And Srila Prabhupada took the hardship. And one day in the night, he rang the bell, maybe about 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. And and Bhavananda Prabhu goes inside. And when he went inside, Srila Prabhupada said, I didn't want to come here. And Bhavananda Prabhu was actually half asleep. Why is Srila Prabhupada telling me this at this hour? Because it's the sleeping time. And Srila Prabhupada said, I didn't want to come here, but Krishna forced me. And Bhavananda Prabhu says, then he became more alert, saying, what is Srila Prabhupada trying to say here? Prabhupada meant this, that he definitely did not want to come to this earth, because Kali Yuga is not actually a great place for pure devotees to be in, because they're neither respected and they have to go through so much of difficulty, and moreover, they are missing the Lord in person. However, Bhavananda Prabhu was thinking that he didn't want to come to this Johannesburg because 10 days of hardship is something that definitely he wouldn't have taken. But Prabhupada meant the other way. And Bhavananda Prabhu mentions that Srila Prabhupada said Krishna wanted Prabhupada to come here. And Prabhupada said, just write those books is what Krishna told me. Write those books. The rest of them we will take care, all of us. All the acharyas will take care. So that's how we got this Srila Prabhupada's purports, the books of Srila Prabhupada, whatever he's given us, he has given us everything that is really required for us to progress spiritually and go back to Godhead, because it's extremely special. And Srila Prabhupada himself used to read these books, his own books. Who would read his own books? And Srila Prabhupada used to say, I read my own books because these are not written by me. I am just an instrument. The Lord himself has dictated in a particular way that if you ask me to write like this right now, I can't do that. In the middle of the night, when everyone else is asleep, Srila Prabhupada sacrificed his own personal convenience so that he can become an instrument for giving us his knowledge of what Krishna wants us to communicate. So you can see these books are so special, and it will remain a kind of a law books for all of us till whenever Lord Chaitanya's movement continues in Kali Yuga. So we can understand that Srila Prabhupada made a big sacrifice to come here, had to go through all these hardships of difficulty in the material world and stay here and give us this wonderful piece of nectar. Prabhupada many times said, these are my personal ecstasies, these are my blood, and I live in my books. So many things like this he mentioned, because the books are the basis for our entire movement and the spiritual life that we have. Then sometimes people actually have this question, like Prabhupada said, I've given everything in the books, don't add anything. They keep actually asking me. So I used to actually read Prabhupada's books about Prabhupada in this angle for quite some time. And I figured out what is actually this, why did they actually do this? Because in the earlier days, what happened was many of these temple leaders, if they wanted to communicate something to their followers, they used to say, Srila Prabhupada said this, so that there's no question asked. Sometimes we also do that. Spiritual master told me like this, so I'm following this. Whether it actually is statistically correct or not, sometimes we actually push people saying that this needs to be done. And people started speculating. And when they start speculating, and then just to prove their point, they said Srila Prabhupada said this. And many a times this information went to Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Prabhupada said, I never said this. I didn't say that you need to do this way. For example, sometimes people say on Ekadashi day, you need to chant 25 rounds. And people started following it, saying that every Ekadashi is supposed to be 25 rounds of Hare Krishna, one has to chant. It's not a wrong understanding, but people started saying Srila Prabhupada wanted it to be done. And Prabhupada said, I did not. I said, you can chant as many rounds as you want. Why 25? Chant as many as you want. But these kind of small things started filtering into the movement. And Srila Prabhupada said, don't speculate. Everything's there in my book. Just read the book. Else you will actually water down the entire philosophy. Please do not change anything. Keep it as is. But this does not mean that Srila Prabhupada has given every detail. To give an example, if somebody wants to make a khichdi, you cannot go and then look into Prabhupada's books and then, okay, where is this recipe for khichdi, or how to make some dish that you want to actually offer the Lord. That kind of details will not be there, because that is not actually an Acharya's role, right? But in principle, everything is there. In principle, what is required for us to progress, understand Krishna consciousness, understand the parampara, and then make progress towards Krishna, that is definitely there. But the details may not be there. So the details, the mission, all these things, you can get it from the vibes of Srila Prabhupada. We can hear this in the TKG diary. Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj was the personal servant of Prabhupada in the final days. Very interesting interactions really happened there, because Prabhupada always said, Prabhupada said, if somebody understands philosophy, it's Tamal Krishna Maharaj. There is also a nice pastime that it's often quoted, that one time Tamal Krishna Maharaj was in Juhu, and he was actually undergoing a kind of a surgery. And he had a dream, and in that dream, because he was unconscious during the surgery, he had a dream. And then after the dream, he came to Srila Prabhupada into Juhu temple and asked Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada, I had a dream like this. In the dream that you were reporting to all the acharyas. I saw all Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, and you were actually reporting to them that all these people actually are not qualified at all from a devotional service perspective. but they actually have one single qualification, that they are very attached to me, and if I tell them to cut their throat, they will do that. So so much of attachment is there. And all the acharyas responded back to Srila Prabhupada that that's what we want. We don't need anything else. If they are attached to you, we will deliver them. We don't need anything else more than that. And Prabhupada did mention in that, at least Maharaj says that that if at all little bit of philosophy someone knows, is only Tamal Krishna Maharaj. No one else has understanding. So we can understand how close Tamal Krishna Maharaj was to Srila Prabhupada. He asked similar kind of things to understand Srila Prabhupada's vibes, question around that. And Prabhupada says bookish knowledge is not sufficient, because if you want to run a worldwide society, one needs to actually understand the mission from the Acharya directly. And interestingly, Maharaj asked Prabhupada, is it important that we had to chant 16 rounds of Hare Krishna mantra? Because when you came, you said 332 rounds, then you changed 25 rounds of Hare Krishna mantra every day, and then you said 16 rounds and said, "Bas, no more increase of, what do you call it? I will not decrease anymore." How does one change these principles of chanting Hare Krishna and things like that? I'm sure Prabhupada did not answer that question directly. He said that takes some kind of intelligence too. And he indirectly mentioned that none of you people actually have that qualification. Don't touch and play around like that. But that doesn't mean that for eternity it will remain like that. We don't know. But at that point in time, Srila Prabhupada mentions that one cannot, it's not easy to change this kind of principles. So you can see here that Srila Prabhupada made some changes. Of course, he had that kind of understanding, being a person servant of the Lord. They could actually make it. But we should not actually imitate such kind of things. And none of us actually are qualified. Sadhaka Bhaktas cannot definitely do that. But one thing is for sure, those who actually did this Vapu Seva, which is actually personally serving Srila Prabhupada, they actually have a lot more nectar about Srila Prabhupada. And then they all, whoever, because Srila Prabhupada has more than 5,000 disciples, and whoever did this Vapu Seva very well, they are still somehow connected to Srila Prabhupada. And those who never connected with spiritual master, many of them left the movement, because to do Vani Seva, that means when the spiritual master is not with you, it's very, very difficult unless and until we have a good relationship built with the spiritual master in person. When he's no longer there on the planet, it's very difficult to feel the presence unless and until one is very dedicated to the spiritual master's mission. Now, we can understand that Srila Prabhupada's different servants actually give different kind of aspect about Srila Prabhupada, because that's the thing that they have seen. All different devotees together cannot actually make one Srila Prabhupada, because they have picked up one or two qualities that they like, and then they have mastered that. And even that is sufficient for us to get delivered. That is the power of a Acharya like Srila Prabhupada. Now, Shrutikirti Prabhu, one of the personal servants of Srila Prabhupada, was there for a long time as servant. He mentions, because Srila Prabhupada told him what are the different ways of serving the spiritual master. And interestingly, he mentions that if at all one is a top class servant, the servant understands the mindset of the spiritual master. They will not actually wait to hear. The second class servant is someone who will actually take the orders from spiritual master and execute them. And the third class servant is someone where the spiritual master has to explain what he really wants in a way that they can understand. And then after proper consultation with the spiritual master, they execute it. And there's no fourth class. These are the three classes of servants. And the Shrutikirti Prabhu says, Prabhupada was so different as spiritual master, because you are all not used to this kind of serving a great personality. And Srila Prabhupada, if he sees, look at the fan, and if the fan is actually running, it was expected that you had to switch off the fan. And if the fan is not running and he looks at the fan, you have to switch on the fan. Srila Prabhupada would just do like this, and then Shrutikirti Prabhu mentions that I somehow was able to get this from Prabhupada, that simply by his gesture, something like this, he would actually do it. So it's an amazing thing. And not only for this is a very simple example I'm giving, but there are certain things like Prabhupada would actually ask for water or a milk or something like that, and the servant was expected to know. And if it's depending on the time of the day, hot milk or cold or normal milk or water, and Prabhupada never actually took hot water. Prabhupada always said water means cool water. That's how he actually had. And the devotees had to know all these things clearly. It was not easy to serve Srila Prabhupada. That is why sometimes they mention there are two services which is extremely demanding. One is serving the spiritual master in person and the deity seva. Because if you become familiar in the service for in both these categories, you will get burnt. You'll commit offenses, and it will be very dangerous for you to continue your spiritual life. One has to be extremely careful. That is the reason many times the spiritual master changes their personal servants. They don't actually keep them for a long time because they become very familiar, and for their own benefit, actually they need to take a break and then continue serving them, right? But nevertheless, serving the spiritual master, we can see that Srila Prabhupada disciple actually excel in this aspect when it comes to serving Srila Prabhupada compared to the grand disciples, I would say, because that's my personal experience. Because personally, sometimes if something comes to me, I'll think whether I can do it, and then I use my intelligence and say maybe possible, may not be possible, and then I'll take a decision on that, and then say okay, I'll either say no, or I need more information, things like that. But many of Srila Prabhupada's disciples who are very dedicated, they did not question at all Srila Prabhupada's asks. They would just pick it up and then do it. We know of this in Lilamrit. There's actually mentioning about when Prabhupada was actually traveling in a train, and suddenly Srila Prabhupada actually asked, "Can I get hot rice to eat?" And invariably in the train, it's very difficult to cook. Nobody can cook. But we find that Her Grace Yamuna Mataji and a few other devotees went to the pantry, and they actually said, "Told Prabhupada, we'll get it for you." They went to the pantry and asked that we want to actually cook for our spiritual master. And obviously, the pantry carman said, "No, will not allow us to cook inside. You want something? This is what we have." I said no, and I cannot give a no as an answer to my spiritual master. I'll have to do it. I need a place to actually cook for my spiritual master. And on the pantry people, all of them, they started laughing, saying that impossible, just get out. And she went to the conductor or the main person, the guard of the train, and said, "I need to cook for my spiritual master." And for that, she said, "If you people don't allow me, I'm okay, but I will not go and tell no to Srila Prabhupada, but I'll jump out of the train and give up my life." This was far way out. This is a dedication that they had, that we will not accept a no. We will do it. If you say you cannot allow me, then I'll jump out of the train and give my life. So that was way too high. And then the conductor said, "Okay, please go and give them whatever it is." And then they went into the pantry. It was all like aluminum pots hanging here and there. It was pretty dirty. They picked up the best possible, washed it nicely. They boiled rice, and then they put it in a platter, on a plate. Hot rice with a little bit of fresh lime, lemon, ghee, everything, whatever they had, they actually took it and went to Prabhupada. And Prabhupada actually was very, very, very happy, saying that this is the kind of dedication that Prabhupada expected. No wonder these people actually have become taken sannyas and things like that in 5 years, 10 years, when many of us actually struggle to take first initiation for 15 years. It's amazing because their dedication was far way out. Even in dreams, I think many of us will struggle to get to that level. But Prabhupada didn't expect that, and they did do it. And maybe they're all associates of Prabhupada and they came to help Prabhupada. That could be one of the reasons. But still, it's really, really mind-boggling that they did these kind of things. And Prabhupada said, "These are my goddesses of fortune," and Prabhupada appreciated this. And many a time Prabhupada used to appreciate his disciples, saying that this is amazing. This is something that Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur personally, to actually relieve my discomforts, has sent these personalities. And that's how Prabhupada actually saw. Although he actually corrected them, he did not actually, he had great respect for his disciples, for sure. So we can see that how demanding it is to serve Srila Prabhupada. You'll find there are many pastimes like this. One of such pastimes is Prabhupada was actually traveling from somewhere in the north to Mumbai in a train, and he had a entourage of people. Devotees were all traveling with him, and Gurudas Prabhu was also there with Srila Prabhupada in the same compartment. And the rest of them actually were in the economy. Normally, Prabhupada would actually travel in so-called the first class, what you call coupe. It was not AC, but it was closed enclosure where Prabhupada would stay, and then one or two servant and secretary would stay. The rest all would actually come in the normal train, and they would come and meet Prabhupada for hearing lectures and things like that, and then go and sleep there. And one such occasion, Gurudas Prabhu was spending time with Prabhupada, and the train came and it reached Delhi way back in 1971, 72. So it reached Delhi, and when it reached Delhi, there was a stop for about 20 minutes in the station, and Prabhupada was talking about general Varnashrama system, how much land is so vacant, people are not cultivating, they're saying it's overpopulation, it's not true, and things like that. And Gurudas Prabhu was enjoying the conversation with the spiritual master sitting down, and Srila Prabhupada was communicating a lot of things, and he was hearing happily, thinking, I'm so fortunate in the creation, and he was looking forward to be in Mumbai serving Prabhupada. Suddenly, somebody came from the station, and he said he came to know that Srila Prabhupada is traveling, and he came into the train and gave him some sweets. He said, I'm Mr. Gupta, and he asked Prabhupada, can you actually get down? Can you come to Delhi and then do some programs? I want to help you out and things like that. And Prabhupada actually looked at Gurudas, and he had no clue what was coming. And he told Gurudas Prabhu, saying that this man is inviting us to Delhi. Can you get down? Can you get down and see what you can do in Delhi? And Gurudas Prabhu was shocked, saying that no one would have actually thought that this was coming, and there was no saying no to Prabhupada. Prabhupada would become like Nashing Devi, he would become very angry if he said no to him. There was no suggestions at all. Prabhupada was very demanding. He would order and he had to do it. Many of our spiritual masters actually give us suggestions, and because they know that we'll say no, and that would be very offensive. And Prabhupada never took a no and answer. And Prabhupada used to become so angry that his lips used to quiver, and he used to, his eyes used to become very, very red and things like that. And next moment, he was all normal. Just to get the seva going, Prabhupada used to become angry. And he said, get down here, go with this gentleman, see what you can do in Delhi. And Gurudas Prabhu had no clue, and he couldn't even discuss because the train was about to leave. He said, but I can't go alone, I need a team. And Prabhupada said, yes, that's fine. You can take your wife, Yamuna Matiji, and you can take Bruce, who's Bhanu Maharaj, Gopal is Gopal Krishna Maharaj, and a few other devotees. You can actually get down here, you can go and then see what you can do. And that's how they actually started the Delhi temple there way back, because it just happened overnight. And when they all got down there, they say, when they got down of the train and the train passed away, they all paid obeisances. They felt very sad. We had the fortune of being with Srila Prabhupada, and then we are out. Moment, the train left, we all are out. But they paid obeisances, and they actually realized how much difficulty Srila Prabhupada would have taken to come to America, because he was so comfortable staying in the Rupa Goswami Samadhi area, looking at all the acharyas. The acharyas live there. The whole Radha Damodar temple with Jiva Goswami is the adda, or the headquarters of all the Gaudiya Vaishnava acharyas. They'll come and discuss on their world strategy and things like that. And Srila Prabhupada is personally present there. And leaving such a thing and spiritual master and going to America, how much of struggle Prabhupada would have really taken. And they could realize that it was not even a drop of austerity, and that it was so painful for them. Like the Prabhupada is gone, and we are getting down here and things like that. But Prabhupada was very demanding. It was not at all easy for the devotees to accept whatever he was saying, right? And again, Prabhu, can we go ahead? It's 7:20. I thought I'll take some questions because
you can if you like to take questions, that's one. Or if you'd like to tell a few more pastimes, that's also okay too.
Okay, I'll say one or two more pastimes and ask for questions then. Okay, so final days, there are a lot of instruction which keeps coming. It's basically because those were the days that Prabhupada showed everyone how to leave the body, and a lot of instruction because Prabhupada was there in Vrindavan. We'll talk more about those things tomorrow. But even in Vrindavan, the final days, especially handling the monkeys, it was a lot of fun actually. Prabhupada used to have his own way of handling things, and not everyone could actually really imitate Prabhupada. Maybe because Prabhupada knew them very well, their heart very well. As a pure devotee, would understand everything. We'll hear about those pastimes tomorrow, because Prabhupada communicated with the monkeys. He was able to talk to the monkeys that others cannot imitate, and monkeys were themselves surprised. We'll talk about those things tomorrow. But nevertheless, when Prabhupada was lying down, and then whenever some devotees used to smile or laugh and things like that, Prabhupada would say, "Don't think this will not happen to you. Someday will come where you'll become old, and everything will be painful." Because some of the disciples were looking at Prabhupada in a very sympathetic way. Oh, he's going through this difficulty. Would have been nice if it was all okay. But Prabhupada was teaching everyone how one should actually pass the old age so perfectly. And he said, "Don't think this will not happen to you. It will happen one day. It will definitely come to you." And many a times in those days, in the Tamil Krishna Maharaj diary, it's mentioned that whenever Prabhupada and the devotees used to come to see Prabhupada and go, they used to actually leave the door, and the door used to actually close automatically, and used to make a big loud noise. And Prabhupada was getting irritated, and then he used to scold them, saying that this is not the nice thing that you should be doing. It's not a very respectful way. And after that, Prabhupada mellowed down a lot, and then started crying, saying that I scold all of you because it's my duty as a spiritual master to correct you. But I pray to Krishna, saying that I cannot deliver these people. You please take care of them. I don't know. I am not qualified to deliver any of these people. Such was his humility, because he had all the powers of Krishna with himself. But still, he was so humble that he never said that he is the one who's delivering anybody. We can see that one, the greatest personality with so much of humility, both don't normally go together in the material world. But Prabhupada showed that, saying that I'm always praying to Krishna to deliver all of you, right? So we can understand how much dear Prabhupada is to all of us, being grand disciples. Yeah, let me take some questions, and if anybody wants to actually ask anything specifically, because I was given time till 7:30, so I just want to be conscious about that part. If anybody has any questions they want to ask me, please go ahead. I'm not sure whether I'm able to communicate. Is it all coming okay, Shankun Prabhu? Or
yes, Prabhu. So if anybody wants to ask, please raise your hand. And I think people are just relishing the nectar. They are immersed in the nectar here, Prabhu.
Yeah, it could be in the morning, Prabhu. It's always very difficult to actually keep your mind too much open in the morning. But I can understand. There's so many things, and Prabhupada was so funny too. All the 25 different qualities of a pure devotee, Prabhupada used to exhibit them time and again. There was no question that anybody had a doubt that Prabhupada was not a pure devotee. At least they had a feeling that he's extremely special. He's definitely not a normal person they have seen in this world.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
No questions, Prabhuji, because after what you said, morning times, I think is the best time to hear these things. And my heart and mind is filled with what you have said. And, I have no words to say. I just have to say thank you for this wonderful experience.
Thank you for sharing that, Mother. Yes, hearing Srila Prabhupada, sometimes we feel that we are not qualified at all. Even if you're chanting, we're doing our sadhana, we feel that I don't think I'm getting anywhere close to what the expectation from the Shastra perspective is. But Srila Prabhupada, being our grand spiritual master, if you can please him by serving our spiritual masters, definitely actually Prabhupada will be very happy. And we can definitely make progress. And Prabhupada said, I created a backdoor entry. He used to mention this to enthused people, saying that I have a backdoor entry to Goloka Vrindavan. Just catch my dhoti and come. Things like they used to make comments like that. So we should take it and then just go on, right? Again, see, not all pastimes are there in one book, because I saw in the Satsvarup Das Goswami Maharaj has written the Prabhupada Leela Amrita. In that, actually, everything is actually censored in the sense whatever is necessary for consumption across for all audiences is what is mentioned. Other disciples of Prabhupada also have maintained their own diaries and how the interaction happened. What did Prabhupada say at this point in time? How did he interact in such a situation? And they have written down all those things. So there are more than 45, 60, 50 books are there. And then you can see that if you read them, you will feel very close to Srila Prabhupada for sure. Because in the Watering the Seed book that Giriraj Maharaj has written, he mentions one phrase very nicely. Because in the Chaitanya Charitamrita preface, Prabhupada mentions, we don't know what Krishna is, but if you simply read Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, you will definitely become a devotee of the Lord. No doubt about it. And Maharaj actually has extended the same logic, saying that we don't know who Lord Chaitanya is, but if you simply hear about Prabhupada every day a little bit and then see and then get attached to Prabhupada, and if you can remember Prabhupada at the time of death and our spiritual master at the time of death, nothing else is required for us. Even if you're not able to do something, these are great acharyas who can deliver everyone just by their desire. So Maharaj has mentioned it like that. So that way we hear more and more every day, even if 10 minutes we hear, that actually really purifies our mission that, okay, I need to do something for this great personality, at least chant my own rounds properly, right? So yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Pronounce.
Yeah, Yashoda Mataji, you want to ask a question? Can you please unmute yourself?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. My name is Yashoda. I have a question. So I like the story or pastime of Yamuna Mataji that she didn't want to say no to Prabhupada, but often I say no to my parents. So how does this come out of it?
You'll have to excuse me, Mataji. I didn't get that question fully. It's about Yamuna Mataji is what trying to ask. Shamkan, did you hear this question?
No, there was a problem in the sound clarity there. Yashoda, can you try again?
Hare Krishna. So I like the pastime of Yamuna Mataji that she didn't want to say no to Prabhupada. But often I say no to my parents, like if I don't want to do that service. So how to?
Yeah, I mean it's a good question. If you ask me, do you ever say no to my own spiritual master? I do say. I mean, I don't say it physically. I just avoid going in front of my spiritual master. These disciples of Prabhupada wanted to be in front of Prabhupada. They knew it was very demanding, but it was very adventurous. Slowly, when you actually associate with people of that kind who won't say no to their parents and spiritual masters, you will also pick up that quality. Yes, I can also do it. It's just that understand one thing. It is not because of our own intelligence we are doing this seva to Krishna. It's because of Krishna's mercy. If you have that understanding that spiritual master will empower me to do this job, what he is assigning it to me, if we have that faith, then we can do it. But unfortunately, at least I think of myself, I use my intelligence saying whether can I do this or not do this, and then make a decision. That's actually not the highest level of service one can do. One has to accept the spiritual master. He knows me better than myself. So he gives me a seva. He will empower me with whatever is necessary for me to be successful. Right. So you can associate with people who are of that kind, and then you'll also pick up that qualities. Yeah.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you. Very nice class.
Thank you, Mataji.
Prabhu, there's a question in the chat box. Is reading Srimad Bhagavatam equal to doing service to Srila Prabhupada, or is teaching, say about scriptures, service to Srila Prabhupada?
Yeah, see, I mean, Prabhupada actually gave this information saying that those who can really are intelligent enough should try to learn from the scriptures, and by doing seva of preaching, we please Prabhupada. But those who cannot do that, their intelligence is not all that so much that they can understand the Bhagavatam and things like that. They can serve Prabhupada, they can hear about Prabhupada. Even if you talk about Prabhupada to others, which is very simple, tell them some pastimes and increase their faith in the moment, increase their faith in ISKCON, increase their faith in Srila Prabhupada. That too is a great service because we need everything. One time I actually had this doubt, why are all spiritual masters not equal? Because from Prabhupada's eyes, they're all same. So, I mean, I saw it in one of the books, and the devotee actually had given an example, something like this. In a soccer match or a football match, There are different people, 11 people play. One is a goalkeeper, and there are different sections of the game. And there are only 3 or 4 strikers who are there always in the forward who hit the goals. And they get all the credit saying that he did the goal, he did the goal. But then there are other 7 or 8 people who are protecting the whole movement, who are actually protecting the entire game so that we don't, get defeated. Right? The goalkeeper would never actually hit a goal. It's very rare that they actually go to the forward and then hit the goal. But they are doing their role so that they can be successful against a war against Maya. So Srila Prabhupada's given different seva to different spiritual masters. So all of them actually are equal in the eyes of the Guru. Just that your sincerity really matters. What are you doing for Srila Prabhupada? What are you doing for your spiritual master? That really matters. It doesn't really matter, okay, do I have the best spiritual master? No, don't think in that perspective at all. Yeah, that's what I would say. Whatever works for you. Reading Srimad Bhagavatam does give you progress, because Prabhupada has given this Bhagavatam and Prabhupada is asking us to read the Bhagavatam. So we are doing it. It is service to Prabhupada. But if you don't have taste for reading Bhagavatam, at least build up taste for hearing about the Acharya's activities, because that's much easier. Just like Ramanacharya mentions in one of the places, Sripad Ramanacharya, the Sri Vaishnava Acharya, he says, if you are completely unqualified to understand the Shastras, don't worry. Just go and sit in a place where they are discussing. You will definitely benefit. You may not understand what they are discussing, but because they are discussing these things, Krishna will be there. And if you die in such consciousness, obviously you'll go back to God. Right? So that's a mentality. It's a good question. Do whatever works for you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Shibani Mishra Mataji, can you unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Can you hear me, Prabhu? Audible? Yes. Prabhu, I believe all the ISKCON followers, as part of this 4 regulative principle, one of the most important one is to chant 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. This 16 rounds Hare Krishna Mahamantra, is it given in any of the scriptures like Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam or anywhere? Or is it given advised by Srila Prabhupada to the ISKCON follower? And wherever it is, why it is? Is there a what I would say ideology, or is there a reason or any reasoning behind it? Why 16? Why not 15? Why not 20? Why not any other number? Why 16?
Okay, this is actually not a Srila Prabhupada question, it's more like Shastri question. There are more qualified devotees in this audience who may actually talk about it, but I'll take a stab at this, Mataji. Frankly speaking, whatever we are practicing is all given by the Goswamis. The 6 Goswamis actually have set the base for everything, right? There is this, if you see the Goswami Ashtakam, there is one of the verses which says that Nama Khana Natibi, right? There is actually this, the Goswamis used to chant the holy name with a prescribed number, and the prescribed number really matters. But why 16? Lord Chaitanya in the Chaitanya Charitamrita mentions that 64 rounds one has to chant. If you are not, that is 1 lakh names. If you don't chant, you are Pakita. That means you have fallen, and I will not accept food in such a person's house. Lord Chaitanya is saying, if you don't chant 1 lakh names of Lord every day, he does not accept food at your place. Now, Srila Prabhupada, being an Acharya, could understand that 1 lakh names chanting of Hare Krishna for a beginner is practically impossible. It's very difficult. It would take 8 hours or more than that, and no one actually has that kind of mindset to chant. So Prabhupada actually reduced it. There are calculations about it. There are mentioning about the details around this number being something lesser, but it actually has an effect on the consciousness of the personality. So it helps them to progress spiritually. There are more technical details to it. Exactly that 64 into the holy name 16 and things like that. There's a math available. Reach out to me separately, Master. I will actually explain to you. It's more like a math. Prabhupada did not want us to remember the math, because we have to remember the holy name and not just the math and the logic and things like that. You message me separately, I'll actually give you the details of that.
So, Prabhu, 16 rounds is the instruction from Prabhupada only?
Yes, minimum 16 rounds.
Minimum 16 rounds.
The first time he initiated, he asked everyone to chant 32 rounds. because his spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, actually asked his disciples to chant 64 rounds every day. That's a Gaudiya Vaishnava standard 64 rounds. And Srila Prabhupada himself did not chant 64 rounds because Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, his sannyasi disciples had to chant 64 rounds mandatorily. For Grihasthas, he allowed whatever you can chant, you chant. And Prabhupada said, I used to chant about 4 rounds before every meal. And sometimes he chanted more. But Prabhupada brought it to 32 rounds, and from 32 rounds, 24 rounds, and said, okay, 16 bus, nothing less than that. But how did he come to that? He did not explain to. Why did he choose? He only told Tamakrishna Maharaj that it takes some intelligence to do such a change. And indirectly saying that you're not qualified to do it, so don't touch around that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Bhakti.
Yeah.
I think, Prabhu, we are on the top of that. I'm free, but if somebody wants to drop off, can drop off, or if you want to hear, I'm okay. Any questions there?
Yeah. Anybody else would like to ask any other question here?
So I do send one snippet of Prabhupada's pastimes every day through emails and in Telegram. If anybody wants to actually join, can actually join the group. You'll get one message every day.
Yes. So all of you who are interested here, my name is Shama Kundas here. You can just personally send me a message in Zoom. I will collect your phone numbers and I will give it to Kripamaya Gauranga Prabhu, and he will add you to that group in Telegram or WhatsApp.
So that way I feel I'm still in touch with Prabhupada, and hearing about Prabhupada's different pastimes and different stages. What did he do? How did he manage things? And sometimes very funny humor stories he used to actually give. I mean, you would never think that an Acharya of his kind would actually tell a joke of that kind. But it's amazing he does that.
Prabhu, there is one other question in the chat box.
Mm.
One devotee is asking, is it egoistic to think that one is intelligent enough to preach? How does one keep oneself humble?
Yeah, that's a great question, definitely. Because, see, as I said, it is not because of our own endeavor, our own, intelligence we are preaching. Preaching is actually order of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Yare Kota Hekao Krishna Upadesh. And Prabhupada himself said, are you a Vaishnava? Are you ISKCON Vaishnava? ISKCON Vaishnava means preaching is essence. Otherwise, you can be a Vaishnava, but you are not actually a ISKCON Vaishnava. Prabhupada's expectation was the 4 principles. The last one is actually preaching is essence. If you say I am part of ISKCON, then I have to be preaching. Otherwise, I'm not actually practicing every tenet of Prabhupada's instructions. Now, how do we keep oneself humble? One has to time and again inform that I am only the compounder, the doctor is my spiritual master. He's taken Prabhupada as his spiritual master, and as a compounder, I'm only giving the medicine on his order, on his instruction. I have no clue about how it's working. If you don't know, you're just giving, how can you be proud? You cannot be proud at all. When you know something you're correcting and somebody's changing, somebody's life is changing, and you feel you have changed something, then you might get a little bit pride, saying that, okay, somebody was actually really struggling, I made their life much simpler. But when you understand that I have no clue how it's working, I mean, I don't even understand it. My spiritual master is asking me to do, he is the doctor, he is giving me the medicine, I'm passing the medicine to the person. So the glory should go to the doctor, not to the compounder. If you are in that consciousness, you will not become proud at all. Of course, you need to actually keep hearing these things, that how Prabhupada's disciples did these activities. When you hear all these people, how they are doing, frankly speaking, you will be completely humbled, saying that, oh man, these guys have done everything. 4 years, 5 years into the moment they have taken sannyas. How did they manage it? I've been struggling to actually chanting 16 rounds. What did they really do? How did they make a difference? So if you hear all these things, you'll feel definitely humbled, even though if you actually preached and made a big center. Right? That's what I would actually say here. There's no point to become proud here. Because the Lord is the one, intelligence is coming from him. Everything is actually blessed by him. The more atomic we become, the more powerful we can actually spread the message of the Lord. That is why actually there's in one place, not in Prabhupada's book directly, but one of the devotees was telling me that Nityananda Prabhu's mercy, he's opened the floodgates of the love of Godhead. But who can stop it? Only devotees don't preach, they'll stop the floodgates. The water cannot, the nectar cannot actually flow. We just allow them to grow. That means pass it on, automatically actually you'll feel that you're completely unqualified for all these things. Our spiritual masters feel that when they are doing so much, all of them actually invariably say that I'm completely unqualified. Where do we stand here then? Even though we are doing a few service, there's no point to actually become proud. Yeah. That's all I can say.
Shweta Pandey Mataji, can you try speaking? I think you may be having a question.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Please.
I was not speaking. I was not. I didn't want to disturb Prabhuji. I don't have a question actually. It was just a curiosity. Did Srila Prabhupada express ever that, or any the disciples felt that he could directly see Krishna or could directly talk to Krishna, or he was getting the orders in some other means, or I mean, how was he communicating with Krishna?
Yeah, I mean, there are multiple times, even early days in ISKCON Mataji, this happened because in one instance in New York, one of the parents actually came to Prabhupada and they were asking Prabhupada, how is our son doing and how are you actually getting this energy and things like that. And Prabhupada actually responded back, first start loving Krishna, automatically all these things will happen. That was actually for a neophyte. Another time, Kirtananda Maharaj himself was actually talking that Prabhupada uses his intelligence, and that's how he knows the Shastras, and that's how he's actually able to communicate. And Prabhupada corrected him, saying that no, when you come to the pure platform, Krishna tells you directly what needs to be done. So we understand that Prabhupada actually communicates, but that level of understanding about how does he do it and how does he get this information, it's practically very difficult for conditioned souls. Prabhupada said, when you get qualified, you will know it. Right now, don't imitate it. We just accept the spiritual master's order, and when the spiritual master is connected to the parampara, automatically they get that information. And they don't, even if they reveal it, it's very difficult for us to actually validate it and take it like that because we are not qualified. Prabhupada time and again gave this example about a child wanting to know how he was born. It's practically, unless they grow up, they won't know how the child is born and things like that. Even if they explain all this to us, we can't get it. But one thing is for sure, Krishna and Prabhupada communicated to each other directly. Not that Prabhupada uses the Shastric information and uses his intelligence and communicate. No, that was very clear in all the books I've seen. The disciples feel that Prabhupada actually had this direct communication with Krishna, and Krishna told him what needs to be done and he used to do that. Yeah, that's why I mean, there are many instances like that, because in one instance in Bodhijan Prabhu's book, it mentions that Prabhupada one time saw a crab and said it's a scorpion. It's a tree alert, it's a scorpion. But all the disciples said it's a crab. They were walking on the beach. It's a crab and it's harmless. But Bodhijan Prabhu mentions the spiritual master sees it from a different perspective altogether. But Prabhupada said, no, it's a scorpion. They didn't actually discuss too much about that, but Prabhu mentions that maybe that was as poisonous as a scorpion. It would have, if it had bitten someone, they would have died. Prabhupada warned us. So it's very difficult for us to understand how it works. But only thing we can understand is when Prabhupada has said something, it will happen. That much faith at least we should have. Yeah, there are many books like this, Mataji. I mean, if I search around, I can actually, I mean, whatever is coming on my mind, I'm giving you that. But there are many instances where Prabhupada actually has told the devotees that Krishna actually has told me this. In fact, he was in Los Angeles. There's a big pastime which happened between 1971 and 1973, wherein Prabhupada felt he was kicked out of ISKCON. It was Krishna's plan to enhance the India preaching. Prabhupada mentions this later, but Prabhupada himself was actually fighting because he was happy in Los Angeles with Dwarkadish. And Prabhupada said, I fought with him. He said, Dwarkadish said, no, get out, go out of this place. I want you to go and then establish in India. And Prabhupada said, no, I'm not going to go into India because India was not expecting him so much. This is there in the Radha Damodar Vilas book by Vayasaki Prabhu. So it's a very interesting episode about 3 chapters, which says that Prabhupada was telling Krishna, and I will not go back to India. And he was there for 3 months there in Los Angeles, world headquarters, and Lord made him go. He created a situation where something really happened. People started telling that Prabhupada is Krishna himself. After hearing all these things for 4 years, so Prabhupada had to send out some 4 or 5 sannyasis out of his ISKCON. So many things happened at that point in time, because they started telling that Prabhupada Guru is Krishna himself. Personally, Krishna himself has come as Guru. Can't you see that? He's Krishna himself. Prabhupada said, no, Guru is never Krishna. Guru is always servant of Krishna. So many things happened. Prabhupada had to leave and go, and Krishna created that that whole drama there. So this is there, but Krishna is directly communicating with Prabhupada, that's no doubt. Why Prabhupada's disciples, our own gurus, can talk to Krishna through Prabhupada's media. So I don't think we should actually have that kind of a confusion at all, Mataji. Then we can't make more progress in spiritual life. If we think that spiritual masters cannot talk to Krishna, we should actually yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu. No, I don't have confusion. I just had a curiosity. I just want to understand.
Sure.
Prabhu. Oh, I think, maybe anytime Basu Mataji has a question. Mataji, you please go ahead. I will ask after. Anita Basu, can you please unmute yourself if you have any question? Okay, maybe. Prabhu, there is one past time when Srila Prabhupada actually had a darshan of Krishna. I think in Delhi or somewhere it happened. Would you like to narrate the past time, Prabhu?
Can you be specific, Prabhu? Because I'm not able to. There are various ways Prabhupada actually had this, because in the Krishna Balram Mandir opening also, he actually mentioned that he did not see Narada Muni and all these personalities sitting. So many times he actually has mentioned that, and sometimes he gets into ecstasy. He doesn't actually openly say that. He closes his eyes and cries. Or in many places. What specific are you actually asking about? Any specific?
The past time when Srila Prabhupada, it was in the night and he was alone in his room and he was playing Mridanga, and Krishna appeared and gave his garland to Srila Prabhupada. You know that past time?
Yeah, there are many things, Prabhu. I don't remember this off the mind, but there is one more which actually happened way back, even before Prabhupada left India first time. He went in Ujjain, so he was there. There are many things like that. Normally, these are not documented, Prabhu. These are not put into the books form because Prabhupada did not like these things. I'll actually look into that the episode, and I can probably share it tomorrow. I don't remember it right now.
Sure, Prabhu. I have another question, Prabhu. Where Prabhupada is, after leaving this body, where did he go? Is there any information that we have? Some people say he went this planet, some say that planet, someone said he went to Goloka. So those things we have details, Prabhu. Prabhupada himself told like that, something like that. I will go to this planet or something like that.
No, Prabhupada did not directly mention that, but Prabhupada did in conversation with Hari Sauri Prabhu mentions certain places, saying that there are a few places where the pious souls but don't want to deliver them, so someone has to go and preach there. And things like that he mentions, but I don't think actually is openly mentioned. Neither does he actually mention what is his rasa with Krishna, what is his relationship with Krishna. He said, it's none of your business. Many times he said, you don't need to know this. And speculating these things actually may help, may not help, but I don't think actually you still have to chant your rounds. You still have to chant Hare Krishna. So many devotees actually discourage, saying that don't try to know what Srila Prabhupada's position is and things like that. Is he a Gopa? Is he a Gopi? Or is he what rasa does he have with Krishna? People speculate a lot, and it's not necessary for us to know, Prabhu. At least not in an audience. Maybe if you actually go and ask some specific personalities in person, they might actually share some of their thoughts around this. It's definitely not for a common audience consumption.
Okay. Thank
you.
Yeah. Maybe one last thing, Prabhu, here.
Okay.
Very nice, engrossing narration of Srila Prabhupada's pastimes and his mood. Thank you very much. I got an opportunity to serve some of Srila Prabhupada's disciples. Many of them, among that list of some, are functioning as a guru within our movement. And something that I found very common is the sense of cleanliness that they wanted. The room, like I remember once going to my spiritual master, going to the room, I had kept the bed sheet clean, the table was clean, the lamp was clean, and the tube light was also cleaned. And then he would go and he would come and sit, and then he would say, beneath the chair, in one corner of beneath the table, in one corner of the wall, there would be a speck of dust. He would point it out to me. So there was never a time in one sense where I could say I did a job perfectly. And as I went through Srila Prabhupada's Leela, I found that Srila Prabhupada was also very exacting in his standards of cleanliness. And I began to appreciate later that it is not the obsessive compulsive disorder that everything has to be clean, which Srila Prabhupada had. Rather, a saintly person wants cleanliness because he has a very clean state of consciousness. And something being dirty is an indication that a person has to work in his consciousness. So actions like cleaning a place, etc., actually help us to have more clear consciousness, clarity in thoughts, a more feeling of wanting to serve rather than wanting to enjoy. So in that sense, I feel that those who are the followers of Srila Prabhupada, they heard the pastimes of Srila Prabhupada from their other devotee co-brothers, God brothers and God sisters, and also some in person, and they made it their life. And because of that, we are getting to experience it. And unless we internalize it, I don't know how we are going to pass it on to the next generation. So thank you for bringing out that Srila Prabhupada was there to instruct us to how to come closer to him and to Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thanks for sharing that, Prabhu. Yes, cleanliness is next to godliness, and Prabhupada had a lot of these things many a times. And even you will be actually surprised that Prabhupada actually used to have a flower vase in his rooms, and the water needs to be changed every day. And even though if it's clean, Prabhupada would expect everyone to actually be, because Prabhupada was training the disciples on how, if Krishna comes, how will you serve him? That was the standard that Prabhupada had. It was, nowadays we actually use our logic and say no and things like that. I don't know how Prabhupada's disciples really managed such high demands, but definitely thank you for sharing that, Prabhu. Definitely.
Thank you. And I hope we can have your association tomorrow too. We'll end the call.
Prabhu.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.
Thank you for the wonderful class. Thank you.
Prabhuji.